Welcome to Bring Out Your Badass Self, a movement to break your negative thoughts and habits and instead focus on building each other up and encouraging fearless authenticity.
Each week, we will get vulnerable and share experiences alongside our guests and audience. Come rediscover your inner badass self.
Good morning, badass.
It is a morning.
Whether it's good or not.
Oh my gosh. This is going to be a great show because we have so much literal shit to talk about today, right, Kate?
Yes. Literal shooting of the shit.
Exactly. Not only is shooting the shit very appropriate for today's topic, it is the theme of not only the week, but maybe the month.
Yes.
Oh my
now,
God.
Are we talking August? Because August was a shit show for me.
Yeah.
Or are we talking about?
We're cleansing today because we're cleansing out August to start fresh and new.
Yes, and thankfully we start with a long weekend, as Stephanie has said. So lots of opportunity to reset and refresh and go into. I kind of think of September as like the new year, like the Jews do. You know, like in their religion, those that follow the Jewish calendar, you know, the beginning of the year starts in September, and I feel like that is so cool because to me, like, I feel like it's a beginning of the year. I never feel like this renewing sense in January, but I always feel it in the beginning of the fall.
You know, when I think about it, I feel that way too, but I've always correlated it to like my birthday's coming up. And so I'm getting excited and renewed. I don't know, fall has always been the season that I love the most and I'm most excited about. And so, well, I see that we have lots of people joining today.
Yes.
But I would like to maybe start with the thought of where we wanted to talk about today to get people's interactions. And then we're going to talk about some other things while you guys process what we were talking about. And so,
how we are going to shoot the shit.
Exactly. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk a little bit about an experience that I have gone through. So for those that were on the show with Deborah Lukovich, I actually have started to see her, and she is a depth psychologist. And part of what she does is she analyzes dreams. And so prior to me meeting her that night, I actually had a dream that I then talk to her about. And so I wanted to tell this dream, and then I wanted our audience to give us their impression without Googling it. What does your intuition say this dream means? And so I'm first going to tell you the dream, and then I want you to tell me what you think the dream means. And then Kate and I are going to talk about some other things while you have some time to think about it. So here was the dream. This was just the other night. And I am in a doctor's office. And in that doctor's office, up against the back of a wall, is a toilet. But mind you, this toilet has no walls on the side or the front, no door. It is just wide open for people to go to the bathroom.
Like in a jail cell.
Similar to that, but for whatever reason, it was like a doctor's office.
Huge
room, people lined up in chairs along the outside of it, but then this toilet up against one of the walls. I am there to see the doctor, but I have to go to the bathroom. So I go to the bathroom in front of everyone. I am taking a literal shit in front of everyone. And not only do I shit in front of everyone, but shit goes up my back, up against the wall, and shit is going everywhere. So someone else has to go to the bathroom and I am trying to clean it. So I'm cleaning it. I go into a shower, and as I'm trying to clean everything up, I'm getting shit on other things. And then I'm cleaning that and removing the shit. And then I wake up. So in the process, I have dealt with the shit that's coming up. I'm getting shit on other things, and I'm cleaning up this shit, and I'm making progress. But whenever I make progress, there's like a little bit more somewhere else, and so I've got to clean that up. So we want to like leave that to you. Have you guys tell us, what do you think that dream means? How would you
Don't Google it?
Yeah, don't Google it. We want to just your intuition. What do you think that dream means?
All right. So put it in the comments, please. We would love to talk about it. I mean, it's just such a funny dream, right? I feel like I had that scenario in real life once in 2020, but I was not in public. But I call it Shitfest of 2000. But that's for a whole nother scenario. But let's say good morning to some of you, our friends here, and then please put in your comments about what you think the shit dream is.
Perfect. And so Eric, and I'm so glad Eric is the first one to say hello. He said, good, badass morning. And I also wanted to congratulate Eric on being a pace setter with S&PS Atlanta. And so I had posted about that. And so congratulations to Eric on that accomplishment. So that's awesome.
Yes, it is awesome. Congrats, Eric. I was so pleased to see it as well. And to see your face in the middle and be like, oh, I know that guy.
He said,
hey.
Oh, this is I thought it was related to that. And so Stephanie said, long weekend.
Yes.
So she's looking forward to that. And Bruce, he said, let's get after some badass shit.
Yes.
All right.
I love it.
Kim, good morning to my favorite badass ladies. Oh, and
yes,
she loves our shirts. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I told with all the shit scenarios going on, I needed some color in our lives today.
Yes. Good morning, Carmen.
Good morning, Carmen. All right. So it looks like, and then Eric said, you're awesome, Sarah. Thank you. Absolutely. Well deserved. Oh, and then Sandra said, good morning.
Good morning.
All right. So we're curious. What do you guys think? I do have to say that Eric, as we were telling the story, he said, oh my.
And Bruce right away chimed in.
Yeah, he did. He said, fear of intimacy.
I get that because it's public and it's such a private thing. Even though everybody shits, we don't talk about it much, right? So it's such a private thing. Nobody wants to shit in front of everybody else.
Yeah. Carmen said, you like to be watched and you don't care who's watching.
Dude. Knowing you, Sarah, and knowing, like, I totally get where Carmen's coming from.
You gotta shit when you gotta shit. I don't care.
Right. And you're a performer and you may get like a little bit of nerves about something, but you'll still do it, And so I totally get where Carmen's coming from, thinking that that's it.
I love that one. All right. Eric said, seriously, maybe that's something that's going on is just a literal mess. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
I agree.
We've all had that feeling, right? Like you're fixing it. You're in the middle of a crisis or a problem and you're fixing it. And then you get one thing fixed and then something else fucking happens. And you get another thing fixed. So yeah.
Yeah, I wish that Carrie was here. I would have loved to have heard her interpretation of what this dream was about.
Yeah.
And so whenever I met with Deborah and we talked through different things, what I found out is that dreams about pooping, bowels, shitting, things like that really have to do with when you think about pooping, what are you doing? You're clearing out toxins, you're clearing out your body. So the
It's
dream
waste.
is,
Yeah.
yeah. And the dream is actually about clearing out negativity, negative emotions, unhealthy habits, or maybe toxic individuals. And so it's really just about clearing out your system. But also, the other aspect of me pooping in public implies I'm vulnerable and I am self-conscious about specific aspects of my life. But it can also be a sign of fear and anxiety as well.
Mm.
And so with this, there has been a lot going on in my life, not only personally, but business wise. And
Mm-hmm.
so there has been some things that I've had to deal with as far as really establishing boundaries and establishing understanding myself a little bit more. So whenever I'm triggered, for example, why is it that I'm being triggered by this? Or how is
Mm-hmm.
it that the actions of other individuals, how is it that I can basically focus on what I, similar to our previous show, what is it that I can control? I can't control other individuals. I can only control the boundaries of what is acceptable within what it is that I'm willing to do. And
Yeah.
I have really had this not only on my personal life recently, but also very much on the business side of things as well. Just finding out things, for example, on the business side of things, finding out clients that weren't being truthful. And then finding out, finding in those situations, sort of catching them in those potential, or really it wasn't potential, it was flat out lies. And so it's like, how do you handle this type of situation when you're trying to help someone? But also, you need to protect the people that are internal within your company to make sure you're not setting them up for failure right from the
Right.
beginning. And
Right.
so it took a while to be able to get into that and to basically deal with that particular situation and to state what it is that how it is that we were going to proceed forward. Like, if you guys want to
Mm-hmm.
proceed forward in this way, that's up to you. But if you want us to help you, here are the steps forward. And so it's like, you can have this or this. Which do you want?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We're not forcing you one way or the other. We're just saying, if you're going to work with us, this is going to be how it is that we're able to help you. And
Yeah.
so it was a lot, because you had a person that was willing, that was trying to help as well on the other side, but another individual that was backstabbing that person, and we saw it, and then also backstabbing us. And it was a very difficult situation, but it came to a head when this person was then caught in an overall lie with everything and hiding things from everyone.
Yes. And there were, geez, I mean, there were at least 10 individuals involved on our end,
Yes.
if not more, like 10 that were currently engaged in some type of conversation or potential project with this client.
Yeah.
And they had quite a few people on their end, but there was really, one main problem, and Sarah had to be the one to kind of call it out.
Yeah.
Sarah had to be the person to say, listen, this was discovered and we need to discuss it.
Yeah. And I ultimately focused on, look, we want to have everybody that knows me knows that I'm very upfront. I I believe in honesty. I believe in an open communication. And right now we're not experiencing that on your side. There is internal struggles going on, and for us to be successful, that has to be resolved on your side. And
Mhm.
I also need to be able to manage the overall workload of our staff to make sure, because this person was coming in, pulling everybody and setting up meetings with them and then saying, I need this now. I need this now. It's an emergency. It's emergency. And so it was a very difficult situation because everybody's like, what is going on? Like, what do I do? I'm trying, I want to help the client, but it's just chaos. And that's what that person was causing. And I was like, stop, like, no more. Like, if you want something, you're going to come through me at this point, because you have shown that you are unwilling to care about everyone's well-being, and you're making an emergency on everyone. And everybody was like jumping through hoops. And I was like, stop, like, we're not going to continue to do this. And it was just a chaotic situation. So it was the literal shit that was being thrown. And so, but it was, again, focusing on like, what can we control? Like, hey, if you guys want this, then we may not be the right partner for you to be able to help you. We want to help you. We want to make it successful. We want to make this efficient for both of us, but we have to have an open line of communication on both sides. We can't have this hiding. And then, the main person didn't even know that this other person was doing all of these things.
Yeah. Yes. And that person was more senior than the other person.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So it was, and rightly so, it was offensive once that person found out. I mean, what we picked up on was that they were offended, So it was a difficult situation.
Yeah. And then on the personal side of things, as I was talking with the depth psychologist, she let me know, and I know that this is a little, it was shocking for me. And I think probably it'll be shocking for other individuals. And I don't want to get into all of the details, but the main thing that was shocking to me is we discovered that I'm actually in a little bit of a codependency type relationship. I tend to be sometimes an individual that ends up over validating sometimes, or sometimes validating why it is that someone acts a particular way. And therefore I'm also discounting sometimes my own feelings and discounting the impact that it actually had on me. And so it was very eye-opening to understand the role that I sometimes play, which is counselor, or helping the situation, or saying, well, I understand why that person did that, and almost validating it to a point where I'm not validating the impact to me.
Yeah, where your own self-respect in a way is being not questioned, but is kind of being, risked in a way, like, because you're able to counsel, you're able to be so empathetic, right? So you can totally see the whole picture,
right?
And you have such strength and knowledge that you want to share, but sometimes being able to see the whole picture and seeing the root of where something happens, the root of where a behavior is maybe coming from, has its negative side effects sometimes, and one of them might be that you kind of get wrapped up in the emotions of it all, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so it was a little eye-opening to understand, and also to sort of go back in my life and to understand sort of how I got into that particular place in my life of sort of playing counselor very early in my life, and almost taking on an adult type position in some ways, where it was a very it just really was eye-opening to me. And so I can't tell you enough how great it was just to sort of chat with someone and dig a little bit deeper and find other meanings that I never, like, I felt like I had dealt with a lot of this stuff. And you have to understand that it's not about blaming anybody. It is the facts. Like, these are the things that happened. These are the things that impact you as you are dealing with things. it's now understanding, okay, the deeper meaning of how can that potentially impact you later on in life? What are the lessons that you need to learn? And if you're not willing to acknowledge what it is that happened to you and how it is it ended up influencing you and led you down different paths that maybe you also need to rethink, then uh, you then can't really solve the problem if you're not willing to acknowledge where it is those things led you.
Yeah. And sometimes getting someone else's perspective when they don't know you, so
Yeah.
there's, you can have really knowledgeable, secure people in your network or in your tribe, right?
Mhm.
But when you sometimes are relying on that person for input or for support, um, and they know you, sometimes it feels like a little uncomfortable because they know you.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes easier to get some input or feedback from people that are just looking from a purely objective standpoint.
Exactly. And it was enlightening. I was like, "Oh." I was like, I can see that now. Like I can connect the dots and it wasn't obvious to me
Mhm.
on some of these things. And so I got to tell you that outside perspective really helps to understand yourself a little bit deeper.
I bet later in life you're going to look back and say like, okay, that was a total aha moment,
Mhm. Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, you probably feel it now. Like
Yeah.
this is a good, this is, this is a
Yeah.
turning point of some.
Yeah, it is.
Mhm.
And I think the biggest thing that I want to convey to the audience is that, and this is what I told her, is that I am told again and again by people that they see strength from me. But I want people to know that for me, strength is being vulnerable. It is being willing to say things and talk about the weaknesses or that you don't have it all figured out or that you're still figuring it out or that you're
Mhm.
still have things to learn about yourself. That to me is strength. It's not
Mm.
just being
Right.
um as if I've got it all figured out. That is not
Right.
strength. Strength is being vulnerable to understand that you may not have all the answers and you still have shit to figure out.
Hmm. Yep. Without a doubt. And I love that you're bringing that up because that is so true. Strength without vulnerability, it often can look like leadership in a lot of ways,
Mm,
right? Like it feels like that if you have somebody who's really strong. Um, but what you end up doing is you end up making assumptions about that person because you don't
mhm.
really know. So the
Right.
vulnerable people that are able to really put context around their strength, human context, right?
Mhm.
Those people end up being such such assets to their communities and significantly better leaders.
Mhm. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think we've talked a lot about shit today. One of the other things that Kate and I were a part of a conversation that also resonated with us today
Mhm.
is, have you guys ever heard of the term social battery? And so someone's social battery. So when you hear that and someone says, I've got to check my social battery or my social battery is at 50%, what does that mean to you? And so
Mhm.
this was a new term that came to us this week and we just really loved it.
Yeah, I think maybe it's popular with younger people.
Mm,
Like a lot of things start with the younger crowd and come up, but it was a novel way for us to think about being social.
Yeah, exactly. So, by the way, I wanted to point out that Myra was here. She said good morning. And then another person, Facebook user, said good morning. So, welcome. If you are a first time, also just let us know by adding a heart as well. So, I just wanted
Mhm.
to acknowledge those other individuals that came in. And
Yeah.
so, it
Thank you
was
for
also
joining.
interesting. We also talked about social battery that so as an example, my husband, which first I want to acknowledge him. So this morning, because I was having such a rough week, and we had a change of we didn't even talk about the fact that we were supposed to have a speaker today, and
Mhm,
then that ended up falling through. And so
mhm.
we ended up having to scramble. So we decided to do shooting the shit. So I still hadn't done the post and things like that this morning. And my husband, he does this all the time. When he knows that I'm stressed, I'm handling stuff. All of a sudden, he comes in, he hands me coffee, he hands me breakfast. And he will do that time and time again and just like bring me lunch or things like that. And I just want to
Mhm.
call attention to him because I have such an amazing husband that takes care of me. He just really is such a nurturer in that way. Like that is his the way he expresses love is through
That's
food.
his love language.
Well, it's like, I'm gonna give you food because that's what he
Yeah.
does best. And so
Mhm.
he's like, I can't go deep with you in a conversation, but I can give you some food.
And make you something. I will make you something.
And it just meant so much because I was sitting here trying to get everything going this morning and out. And then he just came in and he, handed that to me. And I didn't even like, I was so busy after he left. I was like, shit, I didn't even give him a hug. I didn't even give him a kiss, but I sent him a message and I just told him, how amazing he is and how much I loved him. So I just
Aw.
wanted to call that out. And I missed giving him a hug this morning. So
Aw. Well, I want to say thank you to Jay too for taking good care of my badass co-host. Um,
yeah.
Jenna did something really sweet for me yesterday out of nowhere. She came in my office, which she, usually like if I'm not here, she usually has no reason to be in here. But when I came home from somewhere, I don't know if it was doing Oscar's driving test or I don't remember exactly where it was, but I found all these little notes all over. So like this one says,
Oh.
"Thank you for being such a passionate being. It is intoxicating." Um,
Oh.
and little, this one says, "I got coffee on it. You make me smile." And there's more. There's tons of them. Little
Oh.
things, that just little notes to say, "Hey, I admire," like one of this. "I admire your hard work from kicking ass at your career to DPT and always fighting to better yourself." Like just little
Oh.
things that, it's these ways that our partners fill our cup,
Yes.
and it's so important. And I try to work hard to do the same types of things back.
Yeah.
Um, I'm similar to Jay where I can't always maybe be as sensitive as needed, but I can fucking cook you something, so like, like we have a friend who is going through breast cancer, and it's very, very, it's stage 0. It's very
Okay.
treatable, but it's still very scary. And she had to have a
Mm.
full mastectomy, and and um, I jumped to action on the Mickey meals.
Oh
I'm doing
yeah.
3 meals because it's, that's for me, that's the way that I can contribute. I don't like, I can certainly acknowledge how scared you are and all of that, but it's hard. Sometimes it's hard for me to go as deep as some people may want.
Yeah. I got to tell you, when we were dealing with the death of Jay's parents,
Yeah.
so his father passed away and then his mother passed away exactly a month later. One of the things that really helped us is we had people in the neighborhood that just like it's like, all right, I gotcha, food wise. And it made me like really think. And later when I had an uncle that passed away, he was dealing with cancer first. And it gave me a different perspective of how much the burden it took off of us to have to deal with something so basic as just a meal, but it really helped to relieve because you're dealing with so much other stress that it ended up helping to us to be able to cope better by someone else taking that burden off of having the meals. So I ended up doing that for my uncle in coordinating with a bunch of people and saying, "Hey, can you help? Can everybody like take a night, choose a night to do that?" And so just those
Yeah.
small things really, really can help people as they're going through things.
Yeah. It's like just taking some of the normal day-to-day just out of the picture.
Yeah.
And you just know that it's taken care of. And it may not be your favorite thing, but it's fuel. You
Mhm.
can just do what you need to really be in your moments as you're going through the whatever crisis you're facing.
Exactly. So I'm going to circle back to the social battery. And
Yes.
so I was talking about my husband because everybody has different social batteries. So, for example, when it comes to being around people and being in a party situation, my husband's social battery is probably pretty high. Like he likes that. But his social battery around little kids, a bunch of screaming little kids, is really, really low. He's just like, whoa, like I can't handle this. Or if he's
Yeah.
in situations with like a bunch of people he doesn't necessarily know, I've noticed his social battery is lower. And for me, it's interesting. I am more of a one-on-one type person. Like I like more one-on-one conversations. I'm
Yeah.
fine with group settings if we're doing something fun, like if I'm
Hmm.
dancing or we're playing pool or we're playing cards or things like that. But my social battery is pretty low when it comes to just, I don't know, um, I don't know, things that just don't really maybe boost me. Does that make sense? Just aren't my thing, maybe.
Yeah. I have a hard time with drinking because I don't drink.
Right.
But I love to drink. I would love to drink, but it just doesn't work for me. I'm not a good drinker. So I have a hard time. Sometimes my social battery depletes a lot faster if I'm around a lot of drunk people. Um, Even though I'm okay that I'm not drinking. I'm not like super jealous, but there gets to be a point where the conversations are just nonsensical.
Right. Right. Well, and I've been a DD before, and that can be quite annoying.
Uh-huh.
So you're like, oh my God, you're such an idiot. Like, if it's one thing when you're an idiot together, it's another when you're not the idiot and you're surrounded by idiots.
Yes. Yes. And there are people that aren't idiots. They just are in this moment because they are
I
inebriated.
When I
But
mean
it's like,
idiot, I mean just the silliness of being inebriated.
well, but there's something to say for, I've been in groups where somebody really, isn't that bright or engaging to me. And then you add alcohol and it just makes the situation even significantly worse.
Right, right.
you
Oh yeah.
know?
Or you deal with the like my husband whenever he drinks, he's a fun drinker.
Hmm.
I've experienced some people that are not. Like they become very angry when they drink, and it's like you don't want to be
Yes.
around those type of people,
Right. Exactly.
or aggressive.
Yep. It's no. Oh, no. Nope. Yep. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so I'm curious if anybody has any thoughts. Like, what is your social battery like? Do you are there certain things that you immediately get depleted, like being around kids, for example? Or are there certain situations that your social battery is gets very low? Or are there things that your social battery is a little bit higher? And so Carmen said, yes, Jay is, by the way.
Yeah. I have, a social, like, I am really good. I have a high social battery
Mhm.
that does not deplete fast for voice, like phone conversations, for video conversations, for
Mm.
things where I have like a I don't know if it's a barrier, but I have like it's not in person, so like I can control it in some way, or I don't know, but I have a really high social battery for that. In-person stuff is really harder for me.
Mhm.
So
Mm.
in-person work events, in-person
Sure.
social events, much harder for me. And that's in previously in my life as a drinker, that's where I would want to be drinking, because that was my coping mechanism, and it would make me a little bit more like looser and a little, less anxious in physical, like in-person events.
Yeah. And I didn't really ever have that. Like, I've always been able to go out on the dance floor or do things without drinking, just because I did that early on in life and I wasn't really a drinker in high school. Like, I didn't drink actually in high school. I didn't even drink in college, honestly.
Right.
And so it wasn't until like later on in my life that I started even drinking alcohol. And so I was always able to do those types of things, but that's what I would hear from other people. Oh, well, if I have a couple drinks, then all of a sudden liquid courage, helps them. And so, but I wanted to pull up, Stephanie said, as a former bartender and as someone who doesn't drink, I get a lot of anxiety around people who are drinking. You go into keep everyone safe mode, and that can be really overwhelming. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can imagine.
I can't imagine being a bartender and being worried about the people you're serving. Like,
Hmm.
that must be a hard kind of combo, right?
Right.
I never thought about it that way.
Hmm.
The times I bartended, I worked at bars in college, and then when I would bartend, I was always a guest bartender. So like the purpose was for me to get drunk with everyone that I was serving, and so a totally different scenario.
You were like, all right, let's go. Let's.
Yeah, that was why the bar owners asked me to guest bartend, like to bring a crowd in and to be obnoxious, and
Oh my
that's,
God.
and it would be a great time, but
Yeah.
I wasn't concerned about them at all.
Oh my gosh. All right, I'm trying to see who this particular comment is by real quick. I'm going to pull it up. And if you want to read it, I'm going to try to find this comment.
It says my social battery is very high for the event, but then I have to recharge the next day. Negative energy will deplete my battery very quickly, though.
Oh, this is Tammy. So,
Okay.
so Tammy, I understand that very much, and so Tammy is always she's a very fun person socially to be around. But yes, sometimes then after you do those things, I'm very similar. I would think to that I then I'm like, okay, can I just have a day to like, to myself the
Right.
next day?
Yeah. I have a hard time with the weekends where we are doing something, right up into the end of the weekend.
Hmm.
It's super hard.
Yeah.
I, in fact, I try to kind of protect my Monday mornings a little bit, meeting wise, so that, because I know myself, I know that like, I'll get in my office. It's not that I don't want to work.
Hmm.
A lot of people don't want to work on Mondays, and I get that too. But but I just need to take it a little slower,
Yeah. Yeah.
kind of reset.
Yeah. And so I'm curious about anybody else on their social battery or anything else that is going on in your lives right now, things that you are challenged with. Cate, I have to say that I'm looking forward to September. I am looking
Oh,
forward, I'm ultimately looking focused on cleaning out the negativity in my life to make room for joy and happiness.
yeah. Yeah. Um, what a beautiful September ahead of us we have, because we have an opportunity to start fresh, to start off the fall,
Hmm.
uh, and yeah, make room for all the joy.
Hmm.
I am preparing to go do something that I have never done before. Jenna and I are going to travel with another couple this weekend,
Hmm.
and it's a totally new situation. So I've been actually kind of thinking about my social battery, and kind of thinking about ways to kind of cope ahead for situations that might make me like anxious, or that might make me
Mm.
feel as though I'm depleting too fast. Because I also really want to take this opportunity to refresh and to fill my cup, because August was a pretty hard month
Mhm.
for me. So I'm going into this weekend with a couple of thoughts around social battery. And, I've already communicated to Jenna, like, if everybody's drinking, I might just go to bed early, because I like going to bed early, and I want that to just be okay, because,
Yeah.
I want it to just be like, okay, go, you do you, because like, this is a vacation, even though I'm
Mm.
not going to be drinking, this is still a vacation for me. And I want to be able to enjoy it. And so to me, sometimes that means going to bed early and getting up early, you know?
Yeah. And one of the things that other people talked about on the social battery is that sometimes they might say, "Okay, I got about 2 hours left." So it's sometimes just like letting it known, "I'm at 50%. I have 2 hours left," or whatever it might be, just to
Yeah.
say, I'm about at the end of what I can sort of handle.
Yeah. Like when your phone goes to low power mode at 20%, you'd be like, ooh, 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 I am going into low power mode. I have 20% left.
Oh my gosh. And so this may be Tammy again, but she said it's absolutely okay to go to bed early or take a nap or walk to recharge.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, I love that, Tammy. It's important, and it's easy to forget when you're in a social setting. It's really hard when you're with a group and you have your own need pop up that doesn't align with what the group is doing, right?
right, right.
Yeah, so it's harder to navigate that. So that's part of why I made the decision, like, I'm just going to kind of give everyone a heads up.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to just say, hey, if my friend Rachel is excellent at this.
Mm-hmm.
When we are together and she's done for the night, she just gets up and says, I love you all, but I am leaving. you know? And she doesn't care if people are like, please stay. She's like, I repeat, I love you all, but I am leaving. And then what do you say? You're like, okay, I love you too. Thanks for being here. So I'm going to take a lesson from Rachel this weekend. And when I have to go to bed, I'm going to be like, listen, I'm Rachel. I love
Mm-hmm.
you. I'm going to bed.
Yeah. My husband does more of an Irish goodbye. And it was funny when I first met him. I'm not sure if I've told this story or not, but when I first met him, we went over to a bunch of his friends' house and we were hanging out and things like that. And then all of a sudden I was like, "Where's Jay?" And they were like, "Oh, he probably left." And I was like, "What?" And they were like, "Oh yeah, he just like when he's done, he leaves. He just runs home." And I was like, "Okay." And then I just looked for him a little more and I was like, well, I guess goodbye. And so I went back to his house and he was like dead asleep on the bed. And this was something that happened. Like when he has had enough, he doesn't say anything to anybody. He just leaves. He just goes away. And so it was when we had our after we for our reception for our wedding, we ended up doing it down at Fido's, which is downtown in Atlanta, and then we had a hotel. Well, he can't really go anywhere. So, like, he had had enough, and he was like, I gotta go. I gotta go. And I was just like, oh, okay, hang on. Like, there's still people here. Like, we can't leave yet. And he just kept coming up to me going, I gotta go. I gotta go. And I was just like, Jay, I'm like, we're not ready. But he was like ready to run. He was ready to sprint, but he would do that. He would just run and he would just be gone. Like he talked about, he was running and he like jumping over bushes, you know, as he was going home.
Oh my God, I love it. I would love it to see like the street cams on that, like just to see drunk Jay like running home. I gotta go.
I think this is
gotta go.
She said, laugh out loud, classic Jay.
And that's awesome. My cousin, who is Eric, and you taught your dog? I need to know how you taught your dog. So does your dog like leave doggy daycare, or does your dog follow you when you're doing the Irish goodbye?
That's what I'm thinking. The dog is just like, oh, okay, it's time to go.
Yes. But one time I tried to do an Irish goodbye. It was at my brother's house, and my other brother was there, my dad was there, and Jenna was there, and some things had happened. I was triggered. So a bunch of stuff happened and I was feeling really anxious and like I was going to have a panic attack. And it is not like, I would always say goodbye. And so what I was doing is I was standing in the hallway outside of the kitchen where everyone was, including Jenna. And I could see Jenna, but I couldn't see anyone else. And so I was waving to her and like, we're going. And she was like, no, come in here and say goodbye. Everyone knows you would want to say goodbye. And I was like, damn it. One time I wanted to sneak out. She was like, no, get in here.
You're like, no, you ruined it.
Yes. And everyone was like, say goodbye now. Okay. So you have to go. All right. Like my cousin, Jeffrey, here's what I love about this is he doesn't call it an Irish goodbye. He calls it a French goodbye. Oh, here's the thing. He's a gay man and he's like one of those very flaming gay men that is just like very flamboyant, right? Mm-hmm. So for him, French means more sophisticated. But what it ends up looking like is he just goes to the bathroom and disappears. So he'll like be at a family gathering and having a good time, and his social battery will all of a sudden hit the limit, and he won't communicate it. But we know, but he'll be like, okay, I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. And we'll be like, no, please say goodbye.
I finally got what you meant. I was like, wait, he disappears in the bathroom? I'm like, oh, no. He says he's going to go to the bathroom, and then he leaves.
He just leaves. So sometimes he's, and it's not even drinking. He'll be like, this has happened at a family reunion, he'll be like 2 hours from his house at a park with all of us, and he just disappears. And I call him and he's like, a half hour from his house. He's like, I had to go. He's like, it just takes so much time to say goodbye. And then I want to stay longer. And I was like, but we love you. Like, we didn't know. No one got to say goodbye. You were literally in the middle of the conversation. He's like, yeah, I was just done. Oh, all right.
It does. It does take a lot of energy to say goodbye to people because then
Yes.
I'm like, oh my God, we're like ending up in another conversation. Like I gotta go. Like I want to go to bed.
Yes. There's a whole set of like memes or like little videos about the Wisconsin goodbye
Oh yeah.
because we're all so Midwestern friendly and wanting everyone to feel comfortable, so there's a whole like, shtick on it, like where it's okay, all right, I gotta get going. Tell your folks I says Hayes. I'll talk to you later. Oh, you need help moving next week. Okay, I gotcha. Like and there's all these all these things about the Midwestern goodbye, or how it just, you never end up leaving because you just jump into the other conversations. But in the videos, they all have that really thick like accent, so it's very funny.
I love it when you go into the Wisconsin
I know,
accent.
Oh,
We
yeah.
have multiple people from Wisconsin now at our company, and so sometimes they'll get in their own conversations with this type of accent.
Yeah, and it
It's
just cracks
hilarious.
everybody else up. Everybody is like, oh my God. And then they'll be like, say big. I'm like, what do you mean? Big? Say bag. You mean
Bag.
bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything with an AG.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, Kate, I am looking forward to this weekend and just having a little bit more of a relaxing weekend.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I do have one thing on my list that I have procrastinated on. I have with the rental house that I had last year, I still have not done those taxes. So this
Oh,
weekend, I am focused around that particular company and getting them the taxes that they need to be able to
uh,
close out the company.
yeah.
So
So they clearly filed an extension, and now
they
you're up
did.
against the later limit, right?
Exactly. And so they're like, hello. And I was like, okay, I'm working on it this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But we're like, we were done. Like we're done. And so this will be the final. We'll be able to close things out. But it was a lot of work to maintain and do that. But we're like, we're done. But now I've just been procrastinating on finding a weekend to do it. And so I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, guess what? This weekend. But luckily I have an extra day, so I can find some fun. So Saturday is it. I'm gonna be focusing on that
Get it
and then
done.
moving
Yeah.
on.
Get it done. You'll have 2 more days of weekend after you get
E
it done. Get it done
exactly.
tomorrow. Don't put it off till Monday.
No, 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 no. I have it in my mind. Once I have it in my mind, this is when I'm going to do it. I do it.
Mm,
But it's just getting it in my mind, like this is the day I'm going to do it. Because if I don't have that, then I'll just procrastinate. I'm like, yeah,
if you haven't
okay,
said it out loud, if you
yeah.
haven't pointed to it. Yeah.
Yes. Because I think about all the other things. Oh no, I'd rather do this. And it really, what I found is that I used to think of procrastination as a negative, but actually it's sometimes is a good thing because it's like, oh, you're not ready to actually deal with it yet.
Mhm.
It's so I haven't been ready to deal with it yet. So as of Saturday, I have put it in my mind that I'm ready to deal with it. And so that will be my focus. I will get it done as quickly as possible, be done with it, and then move on. So again, it's the clearing out the shit metaphor of the
Yes.
thing that I've been not doing.
Yes. Yeah. I get it. Get it
Yeah,
done.
get her
And then
done.
you guys aren't renting it anymore. So this will be
Yeah,
the last time you have to do that, right?
yeah. And so we've been enjoying it, just going up with different groups or different friends, and so we're just
Mm-hmm.
enjoying it now.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's lovely.
yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
so, well, Kate, I think it might make sense for us just to end early today. We normally go over, but
Let's
I'm feeling lighter, and I've been doing some
after
more
getting
like
rid of all that shit.
exactly. Oh, and honestly, I've been doing a lot of breathing. Breathing really helps water helps. All of those types of things really help with sort of cleansing out those
Yeah,
shits.
definitely. Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so,
I love that. Yeah, let's head into our weekend. I hope this fuels the rest of your Friday. I hope some of you are going to get out of um, you know, out of work a little early maybe and have
mhm.
an even longer weekend. It looks like Sandra's going to do an Irish exit. She's out. She's gone.
She's
Goodbye.
gone.
Goodbye after the fact. You're already gone.
And then Carmen said thank you too. And then I think this is Tammy again. Have a great weekend, guys.
Thank
Uh,
you.
yep. Oh, she said we call it the long southern goodbye down the foyer.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And so thank you guys so much for joining us today. And thanks for switching it up quickly with me, Cate, on us
Yes.
figuring out what we're going to do today. Stephanie
Yeah.
also says, have a great weekend. And everybody have an amazing weekend and a long extended weekend as well. And so a great holiday weekend because we get an extra day on Monday too.
Yeah, I love Labor Day.
Yeah.
That's
All
great.
right.
Thank you all. See you next Friday. Should we preview remind everyone what our next stuff is going to be?
Yes. So our next one is going to be, I believe, handling finding opportunities in obstacles.
Yes.
Yes. And
So we're going to talk
so,
about that next week. And then
mhm.
the week after, I will not be here.
Is that the 15th? Yes. So, but I
Mhm.
do have a special guest that I'm going to be interviewing. So, Julie Ross Powers. And so she has an amazing story about how she handled things through motherhood and some of the challenges and devastation that she faced and sort of where she is today. And she also has a book that she has jointly done with people and then also working on another book. I'm not sure if that one has come out yet. And so,
Yeah.
looking forward to that. And then I think we're not sure on the next week still yet. But on the 29th, we're going to have Carrie joining us for another Shooting the Shit. So that should be
Yeah.
fun.
That'll be really fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So we'll see you guys all next week. And we'll talk about finding opportunities out of barriers.
Yes. And if you have any other topics or things like that you would like to have us address, let us know. And we would love to have some ideas that you guys might have.
All right. Have a fantastic weekend, all. See you next week. Again, hope this fuels your Friday and that you guys have a badass holiday weekend.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Cate.
Thank you, Sarah.